Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate for basic human rights for all people. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Indeed, I have a wonderful program for you today. My motto is, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And as such, my concern is that you, and it's no secret to you, the people, while in these bodies, on this earth, at this time, enjoy and share in the best life humanly possible. Today I want to speak to you on the subject matter, the naked truth. Who told you you were naked? Babies come into the world, they're not concerned about clothes. And no other baby is concerned about the other baby being clothesless. But what makes it so important that we as adults have clothes on? What happened to make a difference between having clothes on and not having clothes on? In the beginning, I would think that someone mentioned it to us, told us that we were naked. And why would someone say that you are naked? You have heard that it happened because of sin. But I would suggest that it happened because somebody had a little dick and they were embarrassed at it, and so they began by trying to hide it. Now I know that sounds absurd to you, but what I'm trying to say to you is that it is as legitimate as any other thing you have heard, because it's all hearsay. Hearsay. My concern today is that I've been out here 30 some years trying to advocate for peace and prosperity and joy for all people. And in 30 years, as I've indicated, I found about 3 people who could embrace the idea. Nobody else. No additional people. And why did I get this idea? Well, I was programmed to believe that this is what God would want. This is what heaven is like. And I still believe it because I know that when I got my needs met, I feel better than I do when my needs are not met. So it's easy for me to believe that. And as one who accepts that as a reality, then I have to project that on each of you because you are humans just like me. So I think that getting your needs met would be more satisfying than not. And having lived in a world for about 28 years and recognizing that some did and some didn't, I chose personally to see if I could do something about those who didn't, so they can feel good as those who do. And where did I go first? I believed at that time that the Word of God, the preachers, and that whole crew, and that whole message was legitimate enough, and divine enough, and strongful enough, and peaceful enough, and productive enough to be all that I needed to take that message forward, and it would be an easy task. But that is not reality. The reality of it is, ladies and gentlemen, is this. I have found out that that whole thing about the Bible with preachers and that whole religious thing is the same as you have heard me say before, Santa Claus. It's a story that people have been told, and they perpetrate that story. They keep that story going. And even when they find out certain things are not true, they still keep that story going. They keep it going. It becomes a tradition to fit a purpose. Well, when it comes down to Santa Claus, it's a few purposes. One, it promotes the markets. People can sell stuff. People can get gifts that they don't need. And on the other hand, it sets the mind up to believe other stories that's not true. And even if you find out that they're not true, you can keep passing them along. Now, what am I specifically talking about? I'm talking about preachers who use that Bible to tell you things that's supposed to guide your life. And I'm reminded that Africans had a different story. I'm sure it was just as illegitimate as the one we have in America, but it was theirs. And this story here in America was told by people who were telling you about God and love. And while they were telling you that, they were treating other people as though they were animals. But they were talking about a God of love. They were taking whatever they could, whatever they wanted from somebody else by law or by force, while they were telling you about God. And they began to allow some blacks to come into their congregations and hear what was being said, and taught them what they were saying and what they wanted to be said. And when they got it clear enough and good enough, they sent them out amongst the blacks to tell that same story that they wanted blacks to listen to and follow, while they themselves did not follow it. The same Santa Claus story. I come to tell you the naked truth, ladies and gentlemen. I say to you, any Bible-toting son of a gun that's walking around here talking about the Bible said, you run from them as fast as you possibly can. If God is speaking to any individual, he doesn't need a Bible to back it up. He can tell you the truth, because you, even in your sinfulness, all of us in our sinfulness, know right from wrong. We know those things that are good, and we know those things that are bad. Those things that are good, we say are right. They does not hurt anyone. They does not hurt. It wasn't hurt you. It wouldn't hurt this other person or that other person, so it's good. But then there are things that hurt you, that hurt other people, and they are bad. So you don't need to carry your book around and tell you that. But what I found about carrying books around, we're talking about what somebody else said. What somebody else said. And true or not, many of the preachers have no idea what's right in the sense of the words, the book. But they tell you that. And when you ask them a question or they got a situation to deal with, the first thing they pop up and say is the book says. They tell you about God being so powerful, and yet tell you to obey the state. I tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, if a state causes pain and suffering to its people, it's wrong. And the only way I can see God coming into that picture is to straighten it out. First, by finding individuals who will allow the Spirit of truth to enter into their lives and to enter into their being and live according to that truth and speak that truth as they walk that walk. Speak that truth as they walk that walk. They don't need a Bible to justify. All they need is the comfort of knowing that it's right. And if they can do that, they will stand. And if they are persecuted, they will continue to stand. That one has the authority to speak to you, to speak to you, to speak to you about what and why. You don't need a book. Now, you got people telling you about the book, about the words. All of that love, all that power that's greater in them than all of the power outside of the world. They are the ones that's supposed to be in the leadership. They're the ones who are supposed to be standing up for truth. They're the ones that's supposed to be proclaiming justice. They're the ones who are there to make sure that you, the people, are not denied your basic human rights. They are there to make sure that you have an opportunity to enjoy this life as though you were in heaven. And they want to tell you this. They want to save your soul so you can go to heaven. Doesn't that sound like a trick? Come on, think about it for a minute. They love God with all their being and do not love you or you or you. They don't care about whether you got a job. They don't care about whether you got health care. They don't care about whether you are educated. They don't care about whether you got a nice home to live in or living on the bridges or in the streets. They don't care. Why? Because it exists. If they cared, it would not exist. But it does, so they don't care. But they care about God. But they do not care about you. They care about your soul, getting you into heaven. What does it profit the man to conquer the whole world and lose his soul? So forget the whole world and wait till you die and go someplace else. Doesn't that sound like a trick? Doesn't that sound like somebody trying to get you to do nothing and take all the pain and suffering that comes at you so one day you can receive a reward? Who could accept that? Who would accept that as being truth? All of us, if we've been taught that from the cradle, we would accept that unless something happens to change it. And now I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we got hundreds of millions of people who say they love God, who sit on the Republican side of the political spectrum, who sit on the Democratic side of the spectrum, and they are as wide as can be. But God is there on both sides. Who is this that says thou shalt not kill, and when your sons and daughters, your mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers go out in the military, the preacher is the first one there to pray that God bless our side. And others on the other side playing God, Allah, whomever, bless their side. What the devil is that? That's a bunch of bull, ladies and gentlemen. That's a bunch of bull. What does it take for you to accept that that is a bunch of bull? I come to tell you the naked truth. Now, I've been going to church ever since I came into the world, as far back as I can remember. And I've always had problems with people going to church and talking about this and that. But the world did not reflect what they were talking about. I couldn't understand how they could talk about that stuff and put up with it. I have seen a few men in my lifetime actually stand up for something. Just a few. You can count it on your one hand. They stood for something. No general public people really stand for anything except their selfishness. Except their selfishness. How many preachers today are in jail for standing up for your rights? Those who love God. How many of them? Well, you got the churches, as I mentioned, on the political spectrum, on the spiritual side, in the religious side. You got thousands of churches. You've heard me say it over and over again. I cannot begin to tell you the truth and leave this stuff out for the fear that some of you who didn't hear the other message would be denied it. I got to share it with you now. Thousands of religious organizations, all of them in the name of God. But they can't come together. Why? Because it's not about God. What do you think preachers do? Preachers are concerned about power, about having their building, about having some people coming to their location, some people listening to them. Power, people, selfish power. That's all they want, selfish power. And the government promotes this by saying, you, my friend, can receive tax exemption. People can give money to support you. And by doing that, you cannot violate our rules. And our rules will not allow you to teach anything that would destroy the harmony of the system. And so what we have are preachers protecting the state while they get a chance to pretend like they got power and the world going to hell. I don't want to hear another preacher open his mouth. If you're not walking the walk, I don't want to hear you say a thing. If you're not out there concerned, and I'm not talking about concern in your mind, I'm talking about concern in your actions. If you're not out there trying to end poverty in this country, by the power of that God you're talking about, by the power of those words that you say in that book, if you're not out there trying to maintain peace, if you're not telling the war machine to sit his butt down and treat people and other nations fair like they want to be treated, if you're not doing that, don't you open your mouth in the name of God to me. If you're not there trying to protect people from the Federal Reserve, from the taxation process, from the interest process, from the profit process, don't you open your word to me talking about God. What kind of God is that you're talking about? I know what kind of God you're talking about. You're talking about man. You don't have any idea. Now here I am trying to tell you the naked truth. But here's the naked truth. I know a lot of preachers. And I've been programmed, as I indicated to you, just like you have. But now these preachers, many of them are my friends. But I don't want to hear them say a darn thing about God. And I got to tell them. I got to be bold and tell them, I don't want to hear you say nothing about God. Why? Because you are accepting the fact that people are suffering at the hands of the state. Or if you don't think of the state, you are accepting the fact that they're suffering. When you say that everything belongs to God, cattle on 1,000 hills belong to God, and yet, my friend, you walking around here on every Sunday talking about prayer. Prayer changes things. Every prayer changes things. I've seen people pray, and nothing happened. That doesn't mean that God doesn't respond. But God responds to what God wants to respond to. God doesn't respond because you're on your knees praying, because he has set up everything you basically praying for. He has set up a way. And I say he because I've been taught that God was a he. Has been set up. A way has been set up so that you, the people, can employ what gifts he has given you that would eradicate any problems that you're praying for. So why should God answer your prayer when you won't take care of the business? If Jesus is real, why should Jesus return back to this earth to deliver you when he was here once before and did not deliver you when you rejected him? Stop telling that lie and start growing up. Become men and women. When I say men and women, when you were kids, and that's what you are now, thinking like a child. Now grow up and start acting like men. Realize that we as a people, as a nation, are being had. Realize that our politicians don't work for us, but they're working for somebody else. Who are they working for? Who are they working for? Answer that question. We have a system of money. Where is the money? It's not in your hands. They're giving it away to athletes. They're giving it away to entertainers. And you, my friends, by that media are being taught to idolize them, to give your life so you can be controlled by what somebody else is doing and not by the life that you have been given. I'm coming to tell you the naked truth today. I'm tired of this stuff. I'm tired of it. I believe without a doubt that my children can go out into life and be joyous and happy, that your children can go out into life, have a career of their choosing, participate in daily living. And that participation is a role in the process of creating the goods and services that you and I have decided are essential to bring us the kind of joy that we want in this life. I believe that. It hasn't happened, but I know it can. And I've sacrificed 33 years to tell you this, and you're still walking around like a dumb fool. Like a dumb fool. Talking about going to church, talking about singing some songs about how you love Jesus. What the hell does it mean for you to love Jesus? You don't love me. You don't love your mother. You don't love your children. You send them off to fight for a nut, let them die, watch them cheat, steal, go to jail trying to survive. What's on your mind? Somebody got to tell you to wake up. Tell you the naked truth. There are those who have perpetrated that lie in your mind, and they walk around laughing at you, talking about how dumb, stupid, foolish you are. And they skin and grin while they rob everything out of you. And you talking about God gonna bless you. God is not gonna bless you when you stupid and ignorant. God gave you a mind. Use it. Use it. So my friends who, every Tuesday night, I just started going praying with some guys. Every Tuesday night going to pray. Every Tuesday night we sitting there praying for the same old thing. God bless my family. God bless your family. God bless your family. God bless the government. God bless the leaders. What the hell has that got to do with anything? Get up off your knee. Get up off your knee. And go out there and stand up and be men. Start standing up for truth. Start standing up for justice. The hell wrong with you? Call yourself. I couldn't wait to be a man. I became a man, and look what's all around me. The most bunch of stupid, ignorant, garbage, trash I ever can imagine in my life. And think you're fine. want to dress up. All you want to do is have sex, laugh and skin and grin and talk about people and think you're going somewhere while the world is melting all around you. What's happening in Japan today? A mistake has happened. What's happening in the United States today? A mistake has happened. And what are you doing about it? Somebody asks you, what do you think about the increase in gas prices? And you say, it's getting out of hand, laughing. What the hell are you laughing for? You know darn well it's causing pain and suffering. There's nothing wrong with standing up and being mad and angry about what's going on. The news media gets on television reporting atrocities somewhere and they're laughing. Laughing. Get disgusted. Do something. Do something. And change this thing. I come to tell you the naked truth today. The naked truth. Well, somebody just opened up a door and my message is taking up some extra sound, so I don't think I can say anything additional to what I've said already, so I'm going to close it here. I want to thank you so very much for listening. I know it's not going to do any good, but it's about the best I can do today. Let me say one more thing. Your car, is it messing up? All the potholes in the street, potholes in the street, because the streets have been prepared in such a way that the standards just they are depicted in the potholes. And that's usually done because it gives an opportunity for somebody to have a job to come back and refill those potholes, rather than do the streets in such a way that they can withstand all kinds of traffic and rain and snow and cold. And your car is all messed up. You stay up all day, all night working on it, becoming a mechanic, and you know you have no mechanical skills, but you have no money. I was up last night till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to fix my car. The alignment is off. I don't know what's wrong, but I'm just fishing, trying to do what I can, because I don't have money to go and pay somebody who wants to rob me to fix it. Do you think I ever imagined that I would be a mechanic or try being a mechanic? There are mechanics, there are professional people out there who are set aside to do just that. But we live in a system that's all about profit. What can I profit out of it? What can you profit? Let me tell you something before I go. What do you do with money? You buy stuff. Clothes, food, shelter, transportation, vacation, just buying stuff. Now, you say you can't get that stuff without money. So the more money you got, the more availability you have to purchase that stuff and access that stuff. Now, the system that I have spoken to you about that would allow you no limits is a system of being able to do what you love doing. Fix cars, fix food, grow food, build any and everything that is being built. Create technological advances. Do all these things because you love doing it. And because you love doing it, it entitles you for any of those things that money can buy. And you don't need money. See, with money, you don't get a chance to do what you want to do. You get a chance to do what somebody else with money asks you to do or tell you to do or allow you to do. And the people who with the money usually make the money. And they have you doing and creating their world. You just in it, a puppet in it, rather than living in your world. Now, I figure you probably say, well, you used to money. You don't want to just go there and pick up stuff or requisition stuff. You want money. Okay, then if you want money, money's all right, but do it a different way. Let everybody have the same amount of money for their job. Everybody doing a job they love, and every job is a job that's needed to make this a wonderful nation. And everybody's equal. They are children of creation. No one is better than another. And that being the case, everybody got enough money to do whatever they want to do with. Enough money to do whatever they want to do with. What's wrong with that? Well, I don't care what other countries of the world is doing. We do it. And when we recognize the beauty of it, and the rest of the world recognize the beauty of it, then the people will demand change. However, the powers that be that is keeping us constricted and messed up, that's keeping them the same way, will be their enemy to prevent from such beauty and justice from happening. But it can happen. It can happen. It will take you, the people, to make it happen. Don't be counting on those people talking about God. It's not going to happen with those people. You're going to have to do the change, and those people just going to follow suit. They're not going to lift their hand and do a thing. They are just as blind as Ray Charles. I use Ray Charles because he's gone. He probably won't be offended. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think you got my message, so I'm going to end it there. Bye-bye.